The xamTileView control allows you to display your list of objects within a collection of visual tiles that can be manipulated on the screen, as well as maximized, minimized, and shuffled around. So think of those areas in your application where you may have a grid control that you use to visualize your list of objects, and maybe your end users would expect to double click on one of your rows, and then you'll pop up a form with detailed information about that record. Think of a scenario such as that being replaced with the tile view control. So in this particular example, we have a list of customer objects, and as you see here, we have paging enabled, so you can define how many rows and columns you wish to display within the tile view. Now each tile right now is in its regular state, where you can just iterate through each page of data, and if you wanted to maximize or drill into the details of one record, you can simply click on the maximize button, and when you do so, it brings up a bigger version of the tile, and the rest of the tiles on that page are minimized and placed along the side so that you can still iterate through the list of objects that you have. So how does all this work? Well, it's actually very simple. Essentially, you have your list of objects, and your objects all have various properties that you may want to display, and what you do is you create a XAML template for each of the various states that this control tiles can exist in. So for example, you'll create a data template for this current tile in this mode, which is its regular mode. Then you create a template for this when it's in its maximized mode, as well as you create a template for when it's in minimized mode. That's pretty much how it works. And if we flip this sample around to take a look at the XAML code, notice here we have one data template for each tile. Notice how in this particular data template we have an image control where we use data binding syntax to populate the various elements that we place in the data template. If you remember, in maximized state we have more items in that template, so here's that data template for when it's maximized. So as I scroll down, notice there's more stuff, like there's a couple of text blocks, then there's a grid to contain the elements as well, and you see this is a little bit of a more complex data template. Then this is the data template for when the items are minimized against the right hand side as a list. And then here's another template essentially for the user header, or the actual header of each tile, which is pretty much the same across all of them. And then we have our list of objects that it's bound to. So again, within just one control, you're able to kind of marry essentially a grid control that is used to flip through a list of objects, as well as a list on the side that may contain just a few fields so that your end users could click on and navigate. All those controls and those types of end user interactions are all merged within xamTileView control, so that way it's just one control, it's all template based, and we apply the templates for you. Now remember, because we're talking about XAML here, whatever element you place within your data template can also serve as a data entry and editing point. So if you enable two-way binding within your data binding syntax, you can also allow end users to update and change the values. So keep that in mind. So now that you know how the xamTileView control works, you can keep this in mind for your application development so that you too can use this control.
Infragistics. On the web at infragistics.com.